At this time, let the record reflect all 15 jurors have returned to the courtroom. Everyone may be seated. Counsel waive the call.
Yes.
Mr. Young, whenever you're ready.
May it please the court, counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll spend a little bit of time talking to you, and then we're going to go through some slides because it's been a while since you heard evidence from our side. Matter of fact, I think we started putting on evidence the 25th. Sorry about that. The 25th, and you haven't heard evidence from us for a while. But I want to talk about a few things real quick. Defense counsel is polished. I've worked with defense counsel for a really long time. They're good, and they can flat out sell it. All right. I'm not that polished. I'm a little rough around the edges, but I'm going to tell you our theory of the case and why this man's guilty of murder. If you look at defense counsel, what they put on, they show you stuff. They show you little bits of stuff, try to poke holes. And that's their job. I'm not getting on them. That's their job. But if you look at the text. He goes, this happens all the time. They show you one text. One text where Crystal has left. One. That's it. If there was more, they would show it to you. And what happened in that text? Brooks texted her. This is important. What was her response? She texted back. He knew she was alive. She responds. They never mention that. They talk about the phone being the battery running down, and the phone did battery run down. It run down about 9:27 that July 3rd night. What they don't tell you is when it powered back up, Josh Hickman testified it wasn't the battery after it powered back up. Somebody physically turned that phone off. Physically turned it off. It happens about the same time Brooks is leaving the farm. What I'll submit to you is, and I think it's happened to everybody here, if your phone goes dead and you plug it up to a power source, after a few seconds, what happens? It comes on, right? If it's plugged into your charger in your car, you start the truck, phone goes to the power goes to the phone. It comes on, and then it gets powered off. What I'm going to tell you is, if Crystal Rogers did not come home late July 3rd, early morning of July 4th, if she does not come home, this man is guilty of murder. And that's what we're going to show you. They talked about our linchpin of the case is cell phone data, and it is part of our case. It's not the linchpin of the case. The linchpin of our case, and we're going to show you, is the defendant Brooks Houck's statement. We'll get to Joseph Lawson here in a minute, but right now, Brooks Houck. He had a chance to come in and give his version of events on July 5th, July 7th, and July 8th. And that's the story we're operating off of. That's his version of events and his version only. He's the only one that was there. He's the only one that can tell you what happened. And he told them. And you know what? It's a lie. It's all a lie. Teresa? I'm going to tell you real quick before we get started. When we get to playing videos, you'll probably need to put those headphones on, okay? And I think the bailiff will help you. Huh?
Ready? pull that mic down.
Pull it down.
I don't know, we'll find out.
Is it helping?
This was a text sent by Tori on Saturday. Hey, this is Tori. Are you with Mom? This text goes unanswered. This is Crystal's daughter asking, are you with Mom? It goes unanswered. This is the defendant buying himself time. Leading up to Crystal's disappearance. You heard from Kylie, who came in and testified, who talked about everything was great in the house, and then Eli came along. Not Eli's fault, but just things changed.
So what you're saying, Kylie, is that after Eli was born, you're not saying it's Eli's fault.
No.
That things deteriorated around the house. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
And things deteriorated. Crystal, you heard from Christina Holly, she was not popular, especially with Rosemary Houck. Rosemary Houck did not like the fact she had 4 kids, that she got pregnant, and for some reason she didn't like her hair.
There was comments about Crystal's hair and how she's a mother of 4 and Mama don't like that.
Who said that?
Brooks did.
Mama don't like that. And what's also important, what Christina testified to, was that they had made plans. Her and Crystal had made plans to go to Chuck E. Cheese that Sunday. Crystal wasn't leaving. She wasn't going anywhere. You heard from Richie Riggs. You heard from Amanda Greenwell about planning her daughter's birthday party. And Sunday with Christina. How bad did Rosemary want to get rid of Crystal?
Singleton.
It was over, Crystal, and wanting to find someone to help get rid of her. And
She asked you to do that?
now, she didn't ask me to do it, but she asked me if I know any way of getting it done.
All right. What'd you say to her?
I told her around this town, got the right kind of money, you could probably get anything done.
Now, Danny made this statement to IRS agents and then spent another 4 months in jail. He didn't get no deal. He didn't get out because he said that. He sat there another 4 months on a Class D felony. What else happened? That was within a couple of months of Crystal disappearing. What else happened? If you look at the phone records, May 12th, first phone call between Brooks Houck and Steve Lawson. First phone call. Right at the same time, Rosemary's looking for somebody to get rid of Crystal. Look at the last phone call. The very last phone contact between Brooks Houck and Steve Lawson. It was July 8th, 2025. And what's also interesting is when Steve Lawson's cell phone was seized, he had deleted every call with Brooks Houck and Joey Lawson. Why? If there's nothing nefarious going on, if you're simply looking for your car, going down 62 looking for your car, why do you need to delete their contacts? Because you don't want to be associated with them. Why? Because it is nefarious. It is sinister. Think about it. Rosemary's looking to get rid of Crystal. Steve shows up. Job's done. Phone calls made. Alibis given. There's no longer need for Steve Lawson. Steve Lawson's off the scene, and he wipes his phone clear of any evidence of Brooks Houck or Joey Lawson. What's even funny is he even deleted the call on July 8th. The one from the police department. Did Crystal have any concerns? We heard from Richie Riggs, who she had plans with, as he testified that following Monday.
Mr. Riggs, I want to ask you a question, a very specific question. This is yes or no.
Okay.
All right. And was Crystal worried that Brooks might move her out?
Yes.
All right.
She was worried he was going to move her out. He may have been moving her out. But the one thing Brooks said was, and he told Christina Holly this, he had enough money that he wouldn't lose Eli. He has enough money, just like Danny Singleton told Rosemary Houck. If you got enough money, you can make anything happen. And then Detective Snow asked him, did you see anybody else Saturday night? When he's giving his statement, did you see anybody else Saturday night? Yeah, Richie Riggs come over. Richie Riggs was like, I was at the lake. I didn't get home till Sunday morning. It's because he's having to fill in details. He's winging it. He's at the sheriff's office winging it. He's making up stuff. That's where this document comes in. 8 pages. 8 pages. And we'll get to this here in just a little bit. You also heard from Ashley Nally. Ashley come up here, and Ashley, as you heard, Ashley was not a fan of Crystal's. Didn't like her. Thought she was snooty. But they grew up together. And she said, you all fight all the time. Why don't you just leave? And Brooks's response was, I won't lose Eli. A week or two, you've heard testimony from Brooks Wicker. You've also heard plenty of testimony from Richie Riggs, the defendant himself, that Crystal run the entire rental operation. She collected the payments. She done the books. That was her job. A week or two before she went missing, what's the defendant doing? He meets with Brooks Wicker to talk about taking over the rental business. He's not planning on missing a beat. And you heard from Stacy Cranmer. What the defense hasn't told you is or let you listen to is how he was acting. She said he was acting cocky. She said she asked him follow-up questions. She asked him, was it a relative? No. He said, it's somebody on meth. Were they going to go, are you going to get them some help in a rehab? I wish. Now this is after she's testified to, nobody rides with Brooks except Danny. And Danny can't drive. So Brooks does take Danny around, but nobody else rides with him. He shows up on job sites. He drops off equipment. That week, what she noticed was that the defendant and Lawson were riding around together, and riding around together a lot. So she questions him about it.
Yeah, so after they was riding around, Steve Lawson got out. His car was somewhere close to the house we were at. And I was sitting in the car. And I asked if I was in trouble.
What would you be in trouble for?
Because there was a crack in one of the ceilings. And of course I didn't do it, but I got scolded for it.
Okay.
It was a house we insulated.
Okay.
So that's why I was paying attention. I was worried about if I was going to get yelled at again.
Okay. All right. And so did you have a conversation with Steve?
Yes.
And what was that conversation?
He said,
What did you ask him?
the first thing I said was, am I going to get in trouble? And he said, no, don't worry about that. That's not even what we were doing. It's not what we were talking about.
Okay. And then what did you say?
I didn't. He said,
Oh,
we were talking about, he said they were talking about a girl that he had to take care of.
Okay. And was that the whole conversation?
Well, I kept asking questions. Like,
What did you ask?
I asked him how you got to take care of her. And he said, she wasn't doing very well. She's got kids. She's got 5 kids.
Do you know how many kids Crystal had?
5.
Okay, go ahead.
And then He was just kept repeating himself about why, every question I asked. He was adding stuff of why he had to take care of her.
Like what?
I think he said one time she was on drugs, meth, and I said, so you were gonna put her in rehab? And he said, I wish that was the case.
Now, she also testified, as the witnesses you've heard before her, we've just played there, that Eli was with Crystal all the time. That she had him and the other kids, and that he was with her all the time. Kylie testified that if her mom had to work, because she worked at a convenient mart, if her mom had to work, then she would take care of Eli. There's also other coincidences, and I understand that the defendant's son has an eye condition, and I think the defendant's sister testified that he's had this since birth or close to birth, some optic condition. I got it. I completely understand that. What's ironic is Crystal had her windows tinted. What's ironic is that the week she goes missing, the defendant decides he's going to get his windows tinted. And not just tinted, but tinted with limo tint, which only allows 5% of light to come through it. And that by itself, I agree with you, okay, may not be earth-shattering, all right? But when you look at this, look what Lawson's doing at the same time. The defendant originally had an appointment on July 2nd that got moved up to June 26th. Steve Lawson is calling the exact same tent place, trying to get tent on July 2nd, the day of Brooks Houck's original appointment. There may have been an opening. Eli's 2.5 years old, and it's this week we decide to get our windows tinted. July 3rd, the last day Crystal Rogers was seen. And I'm going to submit to you right now, Nick Houck is a police officer. If you're planning on murdering someone and not getting caught, having a trained police officer with you who has taken DOJCT training in crime scenes, in evidence collection, and police procedures, that's who you want to take with you. Their expert up here really wouldn't answer the question. I don't expect him to, based on his track record. But Nick Houck's cell phone goes dark at 11 p.m. on July 2nd. It's not able to connect with the network. It's either turned off or put in a Faraday bag, I think somebody said, and that's a bag you can put something in so something can't get a signal. But it's dark on July 2nd, and it stays that way until 1:47 p.m. on July 4th. Over 36 hours, his phone's dark. You heard from Amber Bowman. Amber come in. When he left, that morning on the 3rd, she asked him where he was going. He told her he was going to help Brooks, his brother. Now, she got upset. But she told you he's never not come home. She went to the house where they were moving over on Olympia, the place she didn't want to go to. She went over there 2 or 3 times looking for him, just driving by. No Nick vehicle. He's not there. She called him 15 times in 24 hours looking for him. Remember that number, because I'm not allowed to ask you to put yourself in the victim's shoes, okay? And I'm not allowed to do that by law. I can ask you to put yourself in the defendant's shoes. You think about it. You think about it. You wake up. I don't know how many of you all are married or how many of you have a significant other. But you think about it. Waking up, your wife or your significant other or your husband is not there. And what's your reaction? You think about it. She finds his phone turned off. Either that or the battery's dead. She didn't know. It was dark. It was either off or the phone was dead. And this is a police officer. Nick Houck's a police officer with the Bardstown Police Department who is supposed to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's off. He can't be tracked. Now Brooks, on July 3rd, he does go to the family farm. Now, when he's asked, and we'll get to that here in a minute, he writes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pages of where he had been and what he had done on Friday. One line is dedicated to the farm. One line. He drives to the farm and arrives at 9:29 a.m. and stays to 4. What he's doing, I don't know. But it's not working at these other places. Now, he's asked this on July 8th to write this statement. July 8th. It's 5 days later. Think about it. You don't remember that you were at the farm all day long? It would have been real simple. He wouldn't have had to waste 5 pages on this to write this. He could have simply went to the farm all day. But no, it's just part of the deception. He writes and he writes and he writes and he writes, hoping the detectives will either not mess with it or throw them off and buy yourself some more time. He's on Google locations that day, the whole day at the farm. And he's getting calls and he's making calls, which makes you know that he has his phone with him. It's active. It ain't like he left it there. It ain't like he left it in the truck. He's using it. Now, Crystal's at Walmart that afternoon with Trenton and Eli in a conversation with Amanda Greenwell around 3:46 to 4:39, and she is excited. Brooks has planned a surprise date. What a surprise date that was. She didn't know any of the details. He had planned it. She's excited. Her and Amanda are making plans for her daughter's birthday in August, and she's going to make clothes for her. She's not going anywhere. She has plans Monday, Sunday, and she's making plans in August. And she's excited. They don't go out much. Christina Holly testified to that. The Brooks didn't take her out much in public. And she's excited.
I would ask her what her weekend plans were because it was a holiday weekend. She had told her that night her and Brooks was going on a surprise date. Like she didn't know what it was or where they was going. But she was, surprised, but she was excited about it.
All right.
Now Brooks arrives back home, actually goes to Busick's about 4 o'clock. Busick's is a lumber yard there in Bardstown. And then after that, he goes home. What's odd about this is he gets home sometime in the neighborhood of 5 o'clock. What's strange is that at 5:36, his phone's still at home. His truck's seen driving off. He's left his phone at home. Where he goes, I don't know. I don't know if he's gone to pay people, pay Charlie. I don't know. But I can't tell you where he went. But he's gone and he comes back. This isn't mentioned in his statement. He mentions taking the tractor, the old belly mower tractor, up to the gas station and getting gas, and he can remember that detail, but he does not remember the detail of leaving his house without his phone at 5:36. At 5:24 to 7:06, Crystal's engaged in a conversation with Christina Holly. And it's even going on that fatal trip down to the farm. Crystal's last text was with Christina Holly. (7:06), 19:06, that's military time, 7:06. Crystal tells her, after Christina is like wanting to go to Chuck E. Cheese, she goes, "We can't go tonight." She goes, "Sorry, we have no kids. They're kid-free." And Christina's like, "Well, have some sexy time." She goes, "We have not been kids-free in forever." And remember, it's this man that set this date up that she was so excited about, and they weren't going to have any kids. But she goes, "We can go Sunday." Now from 7:02 to 7:24, they do travel to the farm. It's raining. I think everybody who has testified, with the exception of maybe Porter Hendricks, said it was raining, and it had rained a lot that day. They get there at 7:24. 7:51, the truck leaves. You can watch this on video, and it leaves for about 2 minutes. Defendant states that they checked in the barn, and they were going to feed the cows in the rain. They were going to take it out there, shake a bucket, and see the calves, which that's fine. I live on a farm. They had feed, but he was worried they wouldn't have feed if they used it all. So he was going to go get some more and make sure there's some more in the barn. That's fine. I don't know what's going on during this 2 minutes, but he leaves for 2 minutes and comes back, and his explanation for coming back so quick to Detective Snow is that they thought Tractor Supply would be closed when they got there. The problem is Tractor Supply does not close till 9 o'clock in July, and they're only 15 minutes, as Detective Snow testified, from the farm. Crystal Rogers' phone battery dies at 9:23. It's just the battery's depleted. Someone's playing games on their phone. I don't know who. I don't know if it's Crystal, and I don't know if it's Eli. Because Christina had also testified that when she was over there earlier in the day, Eli was playing on Crystal's phone. But it dies. It briefly powers back on at 11:57, about the time the defendant's leaving the farm. And when it does, when it powers up and the light comes on, someone reaches over and powers it off. They don't want it on. That phone does not get turned back on until Monday, July 6, 2015, at the Nelson County Sheriff's Office. Completely contrary, and I don't care how you want to pitch it, we'll talk about that here in a minute. Was she usually, I would submit to you, when he is asked that question on July 5th, while he's sitting there at the sheriff's office, what was she doing when you went to bed? He wasn't expecting that. You know why he said she usually? It's because she wasn't there. It's called a Freudian slip. She wasn't there. So he was saying, well, she usually plays on her phone. Every interview thereafter, every one of them, he's asked over and over and over again. He has a chance to correct the statement. Let me ask you, if your spouse has been missing now for 3 days, or your significant other, Would you go through every possible freaking detail trying to think of everything you could? This man runs a business. This man has 200 rental houses and owns a successful building business. He was a detail guy. He has a good memory. This is not somebody that's forgetful. He got caught. He answered a question wrong. It happens. She's on her phone. He was not counting on us getting her phone, sending it to these experts at Celebrite who turned around and I asked them the question. Is there any way in the world Crystal Rogers is on her phone at 12:20 when the defendant said he went to bed and watched her playing games on her phone? And they're like, absolutely not. Ladies and gentlemen, if Crystal Rogers did not come home, this man's guilty of murder. She left with him and she never reappeared. Never. It's been 10 years last Friday. She's not been seen. She's not been heard of. There's no electronic footprint. There's nothing. She left with him. She didn't come home and he committed murder. Am I saying he's the one who killed her? No. I don't know who killed her. I can tell you who's involved. (11:06). The defense points out that if Joey Lawson moved the car, he's been sitting out there for an hour and a half or whatever, just waiting on somebody to come get him. That's not true. The defendant, Lawson, started calling his father at 11:06. There's no answer. And the defense talked about Owen McKinney, okay? And they want to talk about Owen McKinney, about how Owen McKinney wants to be involved in this. What you heard Owen McKinney say is he was not planning on getting involved in this at all. But once he heard the defendant on Nancy Grace talking about how they got home at midnight, that was on July 9th, the Nancy Grace interview. He's like, that can't be right. I saw her car at 10:15, 10:30. And he called. He called the police and go, hey, something's wrong here. I saw her car. And it wasn't just that night that he's driving by doing 70 miles an hour in the dark and rain and saw the car. No, what he told you is he come back to work the next day, saw the car. He went back home that day, saw the car. And then William Gunther. These two people are credible, okay? And there were a lot of tips, but these two people are credible because they had a distinct time that they could give. They both worked in Bardstown, lived in Elizabethtown. Owen worked at Dollar General as a manager. Mr. Gunther was a manager at Lowe's, so he knew what time he got off that night. He called the sheriff's office on July 15th. He saw the same thing, heard the same thing. Her car was sitting on the Bluegrass Parkway sometime between 10:15 and 10:45. They get home at midnight. Her car is not there. Think about it. Her car is on the Bluegrass Parkway. They talk about, somebody brought up the fact that, about how would they have her keys, or the keys weren't flowery. Everybody in here has a spare set of keys to your car that doesn't have much on them. Those are the keys that was thrown to Joey Lawson. But think about it. If you were to believe that she come home, if you were to believe this bunk, what he's pitching, how would she know, get up, and we're going to get to that too, because the defendant made a statement about Eli won't go to bed. Remember that? Eli won't go to bed if somebody's up or if there's lights on. Well, he woke up in bed next to the defendant, and Crystal was gone. Do you honestly think this child, who's joined at the hip with this woman, joined at the hip, is going to let her walk out that door and not throw a fit? No. He's the one who said he throws a fit if somebody's still up and they want him to go to bed. He's the one who made that statement. Use your common sense. You parents sitting down here, use your common sense. That lady, Crystal didn't come home that night. That child wouldn't let her walk out that door and not throw a fit. But think about this. If that car, which that car was, go back and watch their testimony and you judge their credibility. These are people who have no dog in this fight at all. If her car's sitting on that Bluegrass Parkway, when he gets back home, her car's gone. I imagine if she's with him, she's going to say, hey, where's my car? She's not. She's not. And then take it a step further. How would she know if she just got up and left Eli there in the living room, got up and left? How in the world would she know where to take her purse, keys, and the cell phone and put them in the car before she left? In the car, I remind you, they had a cell phone charger laying next to the dead phone. And the car worked. The only mechanical problem with it was it had a flat tire. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, what happened was there was another plan. I don't know what that plan is. Okay? I'm not in their heads. I don't know what they had going on. That car getting a flat tire was a problem. That was not planned. That precipitated the phone call. The 1207 phone call. Now Brooks leaves the farm that night at 11:58. Her phone's powered down manually. You observe him leave. 12:03. Steve Lawson and Joey Lawson finally connect on the phone after several phone calls where they miss each other. They talk for 2 minutes and 57 seconds. They're obviously not together at this point. Okay? They're not. I know there's a lot of talk about them driving down 62, looking for the car, but they're not together at 12:03. From 12:03 to 12:06. (12:07), immediately hanging up with Joey Lawson. Steve Lawson calls Brooks Houck for 13 seconds. And no, it wasn't about an apartment. And it wasn't thinking, all this going on about the Chrysler 300, calling Capital One. That was going on. Heather Snellen took their car that night. I don't think they were anticipating this. And I don't think Tammy Lawson was aware they were in the middle of helping move a car. The car was not supposed to be an issue at this point, okay? The car was gone. The car was well on its way at 10:30, and it got a flat. That's something that was not counted on. Tammy Lawson doesn't know any of this is going on. All of a sudden, her car's gone. She's upset because it's his ex-girlfriend who he was dating while he's married to Tammy. Yes, she's upset. They're calling Capital One. Here are the calls during that sequence. Steve Lawson, Joseph Lawson goes to voicemail at 23:06. Tammy Lawson, Joseph Lawson. Steve Lawson, Joseph Lawson. None of the calls connect until you get to the blue one. Oh, I'm sorry. The one with Steve Lawson and Joseph Lawson does connect for 3 minutes above it. And for 2 minutes and 57 seconds, I'm sorry, it does connect. Hangs up with that, immediately calls Brooks Houck. That says 15 seconds. That's a capture time. It's usually off a couple of seconds. The phone call itself on Steve Lawson's phone says 13 seconds. July 4th. Steve Lawson's phone pings south of the Bluegrass Parkway at 12:18. That's the tower, the first tower you see that's south of the Bluegrass. 12:19. Brooks Houck arrives home. This is where he tells the statement about she's usually playing on her phone. And then Eli's up with her, and Eli won't go to bed if somebody's up. At 12:25, Steve Lawson is in the area of the Bluegrass Parkway. And I know you can spin stuff however you want to. Detective Tim O'Daniel is one of the most professional people I've ever dealt with. And here's what he's going to tell you. He's going to tell you, I believe he was on the Bluegrass Parkway. And you heard him tell you from the witness stand here. He told you, based on my review of the cell phone records and other things in the file, is what he told you. Because we couldn't bring that in yet because it hadn't been introduced. But what he had looked at was the admission of Joey Lawson. The admission to Rebecca Greer moving the car, and her overhearing the conversation where they had been paid $50,000 to move the car. This wasn't the car they're working on. They were paid $50,000 to move the car. That's why he placed Steve at mile marker 14. Professor Lauf obviously didn't take that into consideration. That wasn't a forced or coerced statement. Nobody said that about Rebecca Greer or Miss Coulter. That's his stepmom coming in. That's his grandma coming in. You're telling the truth. You're not going to come in and drop a dime on somebody you care about? No. They're here telling the truth. She reported it to us. That's how we know. She did consider it to be real. That's why she told us. Do you know how hard that must have been for her to come do that on her own grandson? Steve's at mile marker 14 at 12:25. He's back in Bardstown at 12:43, and Joey Lawson calls him. So they're obviously not together anymore at 12:43. I don't know where Joey is. We do not have phone data on Joey. He is Magic Man, I guess. I don't know. I can't tell you where he is. All I know is he is in constant communication with Steve Lawson. So whatever Steve Lawson is doing, Joey Lawson is a part of it. Now think about what time this is 1 o'clock in the morning. My mom used to tell me nothing good happens after midnight. And she's right. And there wasn't anything good going on after midnight here. Tammy Lawson calls at 1:08. No answer. Steve's not at home. I don't know where Steve is. Steve's somewhere in Bardstown according to the cell towers, but I don't know where. 3:24 a.m. He left the house at 3:12. He got to Thompson Hill Road at 3:24. Thompson Hill Road. It's the place, you've heard a lot about it, 400 Thompson Hill Road. It's the illegal dump. He's there to 5:24. Now, whether Steve is there or not, I don't know, because there's no activity on his phone during that time. I don't know if he's there and the phone's just not ringing. It is 3:24 in the morning. Or if he's left his phone there and he's going somewhere else. But I do know this. There was some unusual activity going on, so much that the neighbor noticed and remembered.
The digging and burying and burning of discarded household items had gone on for quite some time. But that weekend, it had changed. All that had gone on across the road from me.
On the David Thompson.
On the David Thompson side. The weekend that you're referring to, it happened on my side of the road, just across from my property line. And I thought that was very strange. I was like, you know, if you've already got a mess over there, why would you bring it over to your home backyard?
Okay. And was this during the daytime or nighttime hours?
Nighttime.
Okay. Was it in the early morning hours or late in the evening?
Early morning would be what I think it was. Of course,
And did you see what were they doing?
Just digging a hole and just burning, the items that we talked about, it was.
All right. How big, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You see a lot of junk around. There's usually
Right.
beds and discarded furniture, stuff like that.
And how big a hole were they digging?
I would say maybe a 10-foot square-ish type circle.
And what were they digging it with?
This particular weekend, it was a high lift.
Okay.
There was a high lift that was on the David Thompson side of the road, and they had brought it over to my property line and dug with a high lift.
Okay, and I know what a high lift is, but somebody on the jury may not know. Can you describe a high lift for them?
Similar to a bulldozer, but it would have a large bucket that lifts up where you could lift high enough to load a dump truck. But it looks very similar to a bulldozer.
And this is somebody that we had not talked to until somewhat recently. And if you remember, I know Charlie's been beat up on, Charlie Girdley, and Charlie's got his issues, okay? Charlie's a recovering drug addict. Charlie's a felon. But he's very consistent about certain things. And Joey, and this statement wasn't even talked about during closings, Joey told him, he goes, I'll just get a bulldozer or backhoe and I'll just bury the MFer and they'll never find it. Now, that weekend it would have been awful hard to do that, to be honest with the amount of rain they got. Especially if you're trying to use something like a skid loader and they don't have tracks. If you know what a skid loader is, it's a bobcat. But early morning hours, they're doing weird stuff out there, digging and burning. It's a dump. It's a junkyard. You can't really see it on the surface, but if you dig down about 6 inches, you start digging up mattresses and washing machines. There's just stuff everywhere. And it's just awful coincidental that Steve Lawson, the man who's on the phone with the defendant, and Joseph Lawson, goes up to Thompson Hill Road, and just so happened in the early morning hours, they're running heavy machinery, digging and burning. We move on to July 4th. This is where you need to start watching the defendant's behavior. He wakes up between 6 and 7 in the morning. Says he noticed Crystal wasn't there. Her car was gone. The detective's like, what'd you do? He goes, well, I just went on about my normal routine. Got dressed. And then he eventually asked about Eli. And he goes, oh yeah, Eli was in the bed too. I give Eli like some yogurt stick that has those vitamins and minerals in them. And we go to the farm. Now, they get to the farm at 7:24 a.m. Not near a phone call or anything to Crystal yet. She's gone. And remember, this is not characteristic of her. All right? Remember what the defendant said in his statement. Is that she's a late sleeper. Eli and her, late sleepers. And he talks about how Eli, he tells one story with Eli, because the detective asked him, was Eli asleep in the truck? And he goes, well, no, that's like his 8 o'clock, because they stay up, late hours of the night. So like midnight's like his 8 o'clock. So this is somebody who normally sleeps in. It's a Saturday morning, and she's gone sometime between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning, and her car's gone. And you go to the farm. And finally, at 9:06 a.m., he places a call to Crystal that goes straight to voicemail. No text, just one call that goes to voicemail. He calls her one other time that day, at 12:18 p.m. It goes to voicemail. Nothing the rest of the day. Crystal is getting phoned. They're not receiving it because her phone's off, but she's getting inundated by text messages and calls from her friends and family that day. 2. He knows. He knows. There's no sense in calling her. He called twice to make it look good. You can't come in and say he didn't call at all. But think about it, the one time she's done this, the one time, he texts her and she immediately texts him back. Nothing. Nick Houck reappears at 1:47 on July 4th. He was supposed to be helping Amber and her father-in-law move. They were a little irked. I don't blame them. They were moving an entire house. But he finally reappears. He's been helping Brooks. Helping Brooks? How's he helping Brooks? Brooks has been on this special date on July 3rd. I don't think Nick was invited to the party. It's because there wasn't a date. The surprise date is her surprise ending. Now, not to be disturbed by the fact that the mother of your child is gone, the defendant goes on to the 4th of July celebration at the Houck farm from 5:24 to 8:02. I don't think they stay for the fireworks, but they go to a family gathering and stay. At 6:14 p.m., Kylie is calling and texting him. She calls once and she texts 4 times. She gets no answer, no response. Kylie's the one that testified up here, little girl. Kathy, her grandma, calls him twice. No answer. What they're really wanting to do is, Kylie's wanting to go stay at a friend's house. She can't get a hold of either her mom, and she can't get a hold of him to ask permission to do it, so she just decides to stay with her grandma and go to church. But she needs a dress. Oh, the defendant's phone's working, because at 8:13 p.m., he takes a call from Mama. "45 minutes later, Tori texts him. Have you seen Mom? No response. He's buying time, because he knows as soon as he tells them no, the gig is up. It's up. They're going to go to the police because they know something's wrong. They know something wrong because he has Eli, and her mom didn't take Eli. 9:25 to 9:26, Ashley, Crystal's oldest daughter, calls him twice. No answer. These are the calls from Crystal's family, the ones shaded in, I don't know if that's purple or whatever it is. They go unanswered. The texts go unanswered. The calls unanswered. And the one white one down at the bottom, the only call that was accepted in the middle there was from Rosemary Houck. Kylie needing a dress. She can't get a hold of him, so she goes to the house to get a dress. She's going to use, her and her mom wear the same size clothes. So she's going to go borrow a dress from her mom. And she gets there and the house is dark. The door's unopened. The door's unlocked, which you're obviously not worried about a kidnapper at that point, okay? The house is unlocked. Your 2.5-year-old's in there. And he goes to the bedroom. Or she goes to the bedroom, opens the door, startles the defendant, who immediately comes out, and they go in the kitchen area. And she goes, "Where's Mom?" His response is not, "I don't know." It's, "She's out with Sabrina." It's a lie. He's lying to her dog. For what purpose? Okay, for what purpose? If she's literally got up and is being kidnapped or just left on her own, why would you lie to her dog? Because the truth will put you right here. That's why. He's buying time. He's buying time. July 5th. Still no sign of Crystal. Brooks gets up at 6:41 a.m. He knows now at this point that there's problems. That Kylie's been home. He's told her she's out with somebody. They know Sabrina. They're going to call Sabrina. Brooks calls. Brooks calls Crystal's phone. Last phone call made to her phone that weekend by Brooks is at 6:41 a.m. and it goes straight to voicemail. Everybody here knows what happens if your phone goes straight to voicemail, right? Either somebody's ignoring you, correct, and hitting the FU button or whatever they call it, or your phone's off. Usually if it's the FU button or whatever, you at least get one ring in. These are going straight to voicemail. Her phone's off. 9:31 a.m. This is when he knows it's up. If you buy what he's saying, that he thought she just run off in the middle of the night and left Eli in the living room, well, at this point right here, he should know she's in trouble. Because he texts Sabrina, the person that he told Kylie she was out with. Is Crystal with you? Sabrina responds at 10:11. No, I haven't seen her. You would think at this point, you would be going to report her missing or something's wrong, something's amiss. Even if you buy what he's selling, something's amiss. What's he do? Goes to the farm. Stays there from 12:27 to 2:49 in the afternoon. $2:49, about 3 o'clock, the defendant, Sherry Ballard, finds the defendant at Murphy Old gas station. And as the defendant said, she come up, she was frantic. Nobody heard from Crystal. She wanted to see Eli. She knows there's something wrong when she saw Eli. She tells him, I'm going to go file a missing person report. He goes, that's probably a good idea. And then he goes home. He doesn't go with her. He just goes home. He knows there's no sense in filing a missing person report because she's not missing. She's gone. She's no longer with us. Think about this. This July 8th interview with Detective Snow.
Since I talked to her mother at Walmart, up there at that Murphy gas station. I had Eli with me then, of course, had him with me all the time. And she wanted to look at Eli. She said, "Where's Eli?" I said, "Right there." And then she spoke to him and she looked at him and said hi, and he said hi, and that was it.
So she just asked you where you'd seen Cherry and you told her no?
No, she asked me if I saw
Crystal, sorry.
Crystal.
My name's confused. So Sherry asked you if you'd seen Crystal.
She's the only one, everybody else stayed in her vehicle, and then she walked over to my truck.
And when you told her, what, I haven't seen her, don't know where she is, and she just said okay and asked
No,
about
she thought that the wisest thing for us to do was, she said she was gonna go to the police station.
Okay, so
And I told her that, I think at that point I've already talked to Barbara, I believe, I'm not sure, Barbara Lane, and I'm not sure how to tell the time periods. I don't know, I just don't know.
That's fine, that's fine. So,
Then I went home.
And he went on home. And he got home at 3:42 p.m. Now,
Since I talked,
At 4:30, he texts Crystal for the first time. Texts her, which is what he did before that precipitated a response back in April. We get to that Sunday afternoon. He texts her. Everybody's worried sick about you. No response. The Ballard family finds Crystal's car on the side of the bluegrass with a flat tire on the back passenger side. It has her purse, cell phone, and keys in it. He meets with Detective Snow at 9:07. Now, I'm going to talk about this for a minute. So from 10:11, when Sabrina texts him she's not seen her, to 9:07 p.m., he's done absolutely nothing to help find this woman. Nothing. And why? Because he knows there's no sense in it. So the first time on July 5th, he is asked by Detective Snow, what happened when you get home? When you got home on July 3rd?
So, you get home, she takes care of him? You said he sleeps in the bed with you guys?
No, she goes to bed later than what I do.
Right.
Because I get up earlier than her. More often than not, usually at nighttime, she's usually playing one of those, and it's not Tetris, it's one of them bubble games on her phone or something. One of them, she usually does that at nighttime before she goes to bed.
So, did she go to bed with you, or did she stay up at night?
She was playing games on her phone.
Okay. And, was it in your bedroom where you sleep, or?
No, she was out in the living room.
Out in the living room? Bed, last you saw her, she was playing on her phone in the living room, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
That's the last time you saw her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
Okay. So you go to bed, she stays up, what's she doing?
She's just on her phone, playing, I don't know what game, but she normally plays a game, some
Right.
kind. She's got several of them on there, but I don't know which one.
So she's on her phone, messing around, doing whatever, and you go to bed. Do you know what time Eli came to bed, or she put him into bed?
I don't know.
Don't have any idea.
Now, what time did you go to bed, and was she still up playing games on her phone?
She was still up playing games on her phone, and it was really close to midnight.
Okay.
Just can we approach?
You may.
I just want to take a break if that's okay.
Whatever the court wants. How much longer do you think you're going to have?
Probably about, I'm over halfway through.
At least a half an hour more, you think?
Probably 40 minutes.
And I'll give him a quick bathroom break.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We're going to give you all an opportunity to take a bathroom break here. So the same admonitions are in place. Do not discuss this case among yourselves. Do not let anybody discuss this case with you. If anybody tries to talk to you about the case, I need for you to immediately report that to me. And you're not about to make up your mind about the case. So all the proof's been presented, the instructions provided to you. You've gone to the jury room to consider what the fellow jurors have to say about the case. We'll take a 15-minute break. We'll start back at 3:58 when we go with the baby. Court's in recess till 3:58.